Hi there, this is Dawn with Advice Chicks, and with me today I have got the beautiful Staci Ann from staciann.com, and she is a list building queen. She's going to tell us all about her business and give us some really great advice and tell us her story today, and I'm really excited that she took the time to be here to talk to us and to share her story with you. So without further ado, I'll introduce her and let her tell us about herself. Hey there, Staci Ann, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So, so tell us just a little bit about your business for those of them that might be watching that aren't even sure what list building is.
Yeah, so hello, I'm Stacey Ann, and I teach amazing entrepreneurs just like you how to grow wildly successful businesses by figuring out how to actually sell stuff online. So we all get on online and start these businesses thinking it's going to be so easy to have people buy our programs, products, and services. But if you've been at the game for a while, you probably have figured out that it's not as easy as it sounds. So I actually teach people how to put all the pieces that they've learned together into an actual money-making system. So list building specifically is all about building a network or a database of people who have decided they sort of like you by opting into your free gift. You probably see gifts all over the internet. You can find anything you want for free. And then from there, to build your list, that's how you build your list. And then from there, you have people that you can talk to, build a relationship with, so that they know you, like you, trust you, and buy from you.
Now, I am of the opinion, I'm also in marketing and online marketing, and I'm of the opinion that the list building is one of the most important pieces of online marketing. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's actually the second most important thing. The list building is very important, but the most important thing is actually following up with the list, because you can have 10, 20,000 people on your list, and if you don't actually know what to say to them, then there's no point of having them on your list. So I agree, it's very, very important, but I think it's the second most important thing, followed by knowing how to build a relationship with them.
Right, right, connecting all the pieces. And I think that kind of leads into my next question. And I would agree with you that a lot of people, they find it a lot harder than just as it comes out in theory. So what do you think is the most important piece that people are missing? I mean, why is it so hard?
Yeah, well, I think people have a general good understanding of social media maybe, or they know how to kind of talk with people or find people, but then actually make, like, introducing their program, product, or service doesn't quite connect through. So I think it becomes really hard to, if you don't know the back end side, so say like the sales funnel process, and people hear that word and they're like, what the heck is a sales funnel? And all a sales funnel is basically introducing people to your programs, products, and services systematically so that they know what you offer. But if you don't know how to do that, then you spend all your time, on Facebook or Twitter or Pinterest trying to drive traffic to your website, and it's doing nothing for you. And that's the mistake I made for 2.5 years before I realized that list building and the sales funnel was so important. And I just would get so devastated. I'd have these great ideas, and nobody was buying them because I was focusing on such a small piece, and that's driving traffic, but I wasn't even driving traffic to the right place. So I think that's why a lot of people struggle. Nobody showed them the entire picture of how an online business works.
Right, sure, and it is all about systems, and I think that all of our strategies really is about putting a system that works and that we can measure into place, and that's really difficult. I mean, we wear so many hats as entrepreneurs that it becomes really difficult to try to muddle through all of the different pieces. It's very overwhelming, and so it's good that there are people like you out there that specialize in something like this to help people. So if you can offer the people watching one piece of advice that would really help them build their list, what would that be?
Oh, build your list. I think if you're really just first starting out, the first thing that you absolutely have to do is really connect in with the needs of your audience and connect in with what is it that they most desire and how can you get them the result. And because your entire online system is set up based on that premise, so if you don't intimately know who your target market is and what they're struggling with, there's no way you can create a full-on online sales funnel system, from a free gift to your autoresponder to, your final, sales page. If you're not 100% in touch and in tune with what it is people want, there's no way you're going to sell anything.
Sure. And now would you agree if people aren't getting a response, they really need to take a look at the fact that they might not be figuring out what it is that people want. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think if, after 3 months, so I always say if you put your free gift out there and you've driven at least 500 people to that free gift and you're not getting a lot of people to opt in, there's something wrong with the messaging. There's something that people aren't connecting with. But until you really start to see a lot of traffic, you can't know if it's, a problem with your messaging or a problem with you just aren't enough eyeballs aren't seeing your offer. So, I think that's just that's one half of the problem for sure.
Sure, and you bring up a really good point, because even I knowing about analytics and all that stuff, I couldn't tell you how many people have seen my offer versus how many people have actually signed up for it. So I couldn't even tell you the conversion rate, and that's really important. It's like kind of like an aha moment that I just had when you said that. Like, I'm going to go look and see what my conversion rate is. And so is there a particular conversion rate that we should expect? What did you say that the conversion rate should be?
Oh, well, I didn't, because there isn't one. Well, there isn't one. The average conversion rate is about 2 to 3%, depending on for your sale. For an opt-in page, I mean, it really just depends. I think if anything over 20%, and I leave it be, there's people out there that are trying to get much higher. And I have one landing page that converts at about 76%, which is an insane anomaly, and I've kind of nailed it with with that landing page. But I think if you're hitting anywhere between 20 and like 45% of people opting into your free gift, you're doing great. And anywhere between like 2 and 3% just conversion on a sales page is pretty good. It all changes. I don't want to give like an average, because then people are comparing themselves.
Sure.
But it's actually less. Your conversion rate is going to be less than you expect it to be, because we all think that it's so easy to sell stuff. And if we get 100 people to see our sales page, like 50 of them are going to buy. And the reality is, like, maybe none of them are going to buy. So whatever you think it is, subtract 10%. And
right.
That's
That's very good advice, and it's funny because I was also thinking, like, I've heard people talk about their expectations for building their list by, hundreds of people every month or whatever, and so, if you kind of look at that, and I'm like, I might get like 10 people a month, and I'm going, I don't know, is that any good, or should we even have expectations for how much it grows?
Yeah, well, I think you have to first have a testing period. So I know down to, very specifically what my sales funnel looks like. So I know if I get 100 people on my list, how many people convert over into one product and then another product, which makes it really easy for me to advertise. So I know that people are like always complaining about Facebook and you have to pay to use Facebook. When you know those types of numbers, it's easy for you to be able to spend that money. So yes, I think you should have expectations and you should know what it looks like so that you can plan out, those budgetary things. Like this month, my goal is 1,000 people to add it to my list, and that's a high goal even for me. I'm almost there.
I'm talking about 10.
No, and so this, I wanted to say that. I normally wouldn't say that, but I wanted to say that to highlight the difference because 10 people to you should be celebrated. And you're like, yes, 10 people, decided they wanted what I had to offer and celebrate every single one of those. And then for other people, my 1,000 people is chump change to them. And I'm thinking like, holy cow, that's like, that's an insane feat for me. And then there's other people, if they get less than 5,000 people, they're having a bad month.
Right.
Yes, have expectations, but keep them realistic, and then keep track of what you're doing so that you can really start to hone in and narrow down on what's working, what's not working. And then what's really great about sales funnels is once you figure it all out, you can time your income. So I know that if I spend X dollars in Facebook ads, I can expect a month and a half later to make however much money. So that's the power of knowing those numbers. So, but don't expect too much. Don't expect 50 people to buy your
Sure.
product if only 100 people saw the sales page. So that tempering that insane expectation, because we all see, and can I just get on my soapbox for a second?
Please.
Okay, because we all see these people who just had $100,000 launch or $1 million launch or whatever, and we're like, oh my gosh, I want to have $1 million launch. But if your list is small, if your audience is small, unless you're willing to like seriously go crazy insane with your promotions and affiliates and spending money to get people to buy, the reality of a $100,000 launch just really isn't there. But we see it all the time, and we see ads coming up in our newsfeed. I just did a $100,000 launch, and I'll teach you how to. But without the list, and this is why your list is so important, without the people who already know you, like you, and trust you, it's hard to have big results like that. Because even just a $10,000 launch takes about 20,000 people to see your launch. So.
Right. Yeah, and so it's like I told Staci in before we got on this interview. I get so into it, and I just want to keep talking about it. And she's giving us such juicy information, and it kind of leads into to what I want to talk about you, because I hear you saying it's very important not to make sure you have realistic expectations, and so to kind of use it for an incentive to be excited and to celebrate instead of using it as a disappointment. And so what these interviews are all about are our mess to success stories. So let's talk about you a little bit. Now, I suspect that you didn't grow up wanting to be a list building specialist.
Oh, of course I did.
Okay.
Crazy. I was like playing with my Barbies, and I was like, I want to teach people how to make sales funnel.
Right. So what did you want to do, and how did you get into it?
What did I want to do? I wanted to be a movie star. Are you kidding? No, that's not a joke. That's reality. I really did want to be a movie star. No, I have a history and political science degree with a minor in philosophy. I'm smarter than the dumb blonde that I play on TV. So I actually wanted to. I don't know. I didn't want to do anything, and I wanted to do everything. I had big dreams. I thought about politics. I thought about activism. I thought about being a lawyer. I thought about all kinds of stuff. So I didn't really actually, after graduation, I graduated in 2009, which was the absolute height of the recession. So I graduated the worst time in the last 50 years to be a college graduate. And I didn't know what I wanted to be, so I actually decided to be a financial advisor after reading David Bach's book. I was like, I can do that. I'm freakishly good with money. And so I went on to be a financial advisor for about 6 months and realized that I was terrible at it. Horrible. Really, really awful, because I was bad at sales. And that's why I teach sales, because I had to learn how to get over that gigantic hurdle that I had of being afraid of sales and being afraid of being salesy and being afraid of being too aggressive and pushy. So I wanted to be the president of the United States, but I ended up being a financial advisor, and then that didn't work out, so I started my own business.
Yeah. Which is no small feat in itself. It's a very honorable profession. I mean, it takes a special kind of person to have that entrepreneurial spirit, and of course, I admire it.
Yeah. No, you're doing great. But my first business failed, fantastically failed, and so did my second too, as well. One, two, yeah, two. So I've failed 3 times. So my fourth time was actually the charm for me. So if you are feeling like this isn't working, or something isn't working, it's okay to fail. It's okay to not get it right the first time. Lord knows I didn't.
Sure, and I just did a webinar in March, and it was all about, of course, the hook was what's the number one reason most businesses fail, and so you watch the webinar, and it's all about you. It's all about, and I say that very lightly because I don't believe there's any such thing as failure. I think it's all a building block to our success. So it's important to use that failure as fertilizer for our success. And so how do you feel, do you feel like that was important to get through the 4 businesses? Do you think that's what kind of gives you that tenacity and grit, is what makes you so successful with what you do now?
No, I'm crazy. That's I'm slightly insane. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Um, I've always, the minute, and I read the 4-Hour Work Week. Yes, I was one of those. And I had this like aha moment of, oh my gosh, I could do this. And I actually did do that. I lived in Belize for a while, and I lived in Spain for a while. So I did pull that off. But I read the book, and I realized that there was this like whole other online world. Because my first business, I only got a very small taste of that, because I was actually trying to do like local kind of stuff, like budgeting for women. And yeah, that didn't work. So then I read the 4-Hour Work Week, got all this like inspiration and all of this, and I still failed. And I followed it to the T, and I couldn't figure out what was going wrong. And then I tried another business with my husband, and I actually did a workshop with Lewis Howes and Derek Halpern and James Wedmore, live in person, and they kind of mapped out how it all went. And I walked away thinking I was going to make thousands of dollars on my first webinar. I didn't make any, and that kind of failed. And so I was broke, living in my brother-in-law's basement, and I'm done. I was done. I was like sobbing. I was like, what the heck am I doing wrong? What piece is missing? Why can't I figure this out? There are people that are, I'm a smart person. I'm incredibly, I'm smart, and I am doing the work, and I'm doing all this stuff. Why am I failing? And why am I failing so miserably? And as I'm sitting there like bawling, sobbing, hands and like head in my hands, like this snot kind of gross kind of crying, it finally hit me. And my husband had come down and he was like, what's wrong? And I'm yelling at him, and I'm like, it's all your fault. You never believed in me. You've held me back. And at that moment, I took a breath, and I said, oh my gosh, no, it's me. I was what was wrong. I wasn't putting myself out there. I wasn't actually doing the work to build the business. So yes, I think these all have been building blocks, and yes, they've kept me going. But I think it's also partly because I am crazy, and I do have this like voice in the back of my head that says, just keep going, like don't stop, just keep going, you're almost there, you're almost there. Even as I look at my bank account, and I would see like negative money, there was still that crazy voice saying like, no, you're on the right path. And so what I think my past failures have done is help me realize what other entrepreneurs are struggling with and the piece that they're missing, so that I can help them put it all together and say, look, you know what, here's that missing piece, because it's usually just one thing, or the bigger picture is missing. So I think it's really helped me be able to empathize with other entrepreneurs who are still in the same boat as I was, and it helped me really realize that you just have to go, grab the bull by the horns and just go with it. You can't half-ass this. Like, you can't be the wild success that you're meant to be if you're only half trying. And so that everything I do it 10 times bigger than, most people would, because I know that that's what it takes to get to success. So 10,000 or 1,000 people on my list is like this huge goal, but I know that that's what I need in order to, propel me forward with well, I'm going to have a 6-figure launch, so I need those 1,000 people, to really help me get there.
This is just very fantastic advice, and I think it's very inspiring to other people. And I think that there are a lot of people that are on their path that really, really just need to hear this, because It's not easy, and just when you're almost to the top, so many people might quit, and so that's why these are so important. It's so important to hear people's authentic stories, and we teach what we know, and that's why you're able to help your clients so well, because you've gone through it. So I think it's very amazing advice, and you have a special offer on your website for everybody watching that's going to give them even more juicy tips about all of this list building stuff. And I've got the link down in the description of the video, but if you'll tell everybody how to get in touch with you, I'll let you do that, so that I encourage everybody to get in touch with Staci Ann.
Yeah, so I actually have a free list building workbook that takes you through how to build your list in 90 days. So even if you're starting from zero, so if you have nobody on your list, it walks you through how to start building your list in just 90 days. You might not get, thousands of people, but even your first 100, celebrate your first 10, your first one. My husband just started his podcast, and he had 6 subscribers, and every time somebody opts in, we're like, yeah, that's awesome. So it walks you through how to build your list, if you're starting from 0 to whatever. You can find it at training.staciann.com/workbook.
Wonderful. Well, I know I'm going to be going right after this webinar to sign up myself and get my own workbook on list building. And it's been such an honor to hear your story, and I look forward to seeing where you go with this, because it does take practice, and I imagine, I can tell, I have total faith that you're going to have that 6-figure launch in the near future. So thank you so much. I'm flattered that you took the time to talk to me today, and for everybody watching. So thank you so very much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Everyone, have a great day, and just keep going. You've got this.
That's right, you do. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next Solopreneur Spotlight.